Hey everybody! Very briefly, I wanted to take you through three super common mistakes that a fair amount of new photographers make. They're really easy mistakes to make, and there's something you should think about every single time you take a photograph. And it has to do with focus, motion, and light. So the first one on the left here you can see has to do with focus. You want to make sure that you're focusing on your subject and not letting the camera focus on something else. So for example, in this one, the camera is catching the Christmas tree and not the main focus, which was the subject. So a lot of times you'll get kind of a weird blurry effect, and it doesn't look intentional typically. So one thing you want to do if you have a camera, when you're looking through the viewfinder, making sure to focus in on your subject and making sure the subject looks crisp. If you have a cell phone, you can tap the screen where the subject is and it will focus for you. The next one I want to talk about is motion. If you are shaking the camera in any way, when it tries to capture the picture, you will get a blurry effect and you won't be able a lot of times to tell what the picture is. It will not look crisp. So the way photographers kind of deal with the blurry, shaky camera effect is they prop their hands or arms on something to steady themselves. So that's one trick you can do. They do, if you have a camera, if you do the squeeze and freeze effect where you're holding the camera and steadying the lens underneath while you take a picture, so you have both hands involved with getting the camera nice and steady. That's another thing you can do. Also, just taking a breath and then taking the picture as you're breathing out will help with camera shake. When you breathe in, we move, but oftentimes when you breathe out, it's nice and steady. So that's another thing you can do, is just being aware of your breathing and if you're moving. The last one I want to talk about, and this is the most important one to think about, is sometimes they also call photographers light chasers. Taking a picture is all about light. It is about the camera interpreting the light that is entering the lens into an image. That is what makes photography work. So you always, always, always want to think about your light. Typically, you want the light actually behind the photographer lighting the subject. If you're photographing into the light, you can see what's happening here is the camera is getting washed out because too much light is overwhelming the lens. Now, this isn't to say sometimes you may want to take a picture, for example, into a sunset to catch the colors, or you may want kind of a silhouette effect. That's okay, but typically if you really wanted, this photographer wanted to show off the trees, you can barely see the trees because the camera is so washed out by light. So again, looking at your light, thinking about your light. If it's a cloudy day, thinking about, is it too dark to take a picture? Do I need to adjust some things? If it's really sunny out, if you take a picture directly into the sunlight, the picture won't turn out. So making sure the sun is kind of behind you and your subject is lit so you can actually get a picture. So those are the three big things I want you to think about as you take pictures for this class. Making sure your photographs are not blurry, making sure that you're not moving so you get the shaky camera, and making sure there is an awareness of light so that whatever you're taking a picture of is crisp and clear. Those are the big three things that I always want you to think about every time you take a picture.